Good morning, everybody joining us. Welcome to an amazingly sunny and gorgeous Wednesday. Well, it certainly is with me here in Chepstow. I think it is with Joe from Wendy as well. Joe, weather good with you?
Yes, it is. It's beautiful here. I'm in sunny Southampton.
Sunny Southampton, excellent. Welcome to this session. It's about Japan, which, if I'm honest, is probably one of the top destinations being talked about at the moment. And that's simply why we decided to put the event on, because it's a hot topic for potential travelers at the moment. As usual, the presentation is put on for you and you only. So Joe will go through his presentation. If anything you think about is triggered by what Joe has to say, please tap the screen and ask a question in the chat, and I will ask Joe at the end of it. If there's anything Joe doesn't cover as part of his presentation, equally, please ask away. If there's anything you think, oh God, I'd love to know what Japan's like for this or for that, or should I go here, there, or everywhere, then please tap the screen and ask the question, because that's what we put these sessions on for, to help you understand where you should go next for your holidays. So without any further ado, I'll pass you on to Joe from Wendy Woo Tours. Wendy Woo are experts in this sort of thing, and I'm no doubt once you've been wowed for half an hour, 40 minutes by Joe, you'll think the same thing. So Joe, over to you.
Thank you, Miles. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this little tour around Japan. I've got some videos in here, and just to give you an outline of what I'm going to be talking about, it's not just about Wendy Woo and what we do that's different. I'm going to give you some real insight into a lot of the areas that we visit and some of the culture in Japan. And hopefully the videos will come across in a decent quality for you. So let's just give you a little flavor of Japan just to begin with. So that's just to whet your appetite a little bit. And while we're talking about food, I'm actually going to seamlessly segue, hopefully, into the seasons. So it's the question a lot of people ask, when's the best time to go to Japan? So here you can see this is actually in cherry blossom, and this is an outdoor picnic. And the thing about cherry blossom is it is a fantastic time, of course, to go to Japan. It's the end of March, beginning of April. It's a 3-week season as the cherry blossom comes out across the whole of the country. And if it's something that you really, really want to do and see cherry blossom in Japan, then absolutely fantastic. But just a word of warning. If you do want to go in 2022, I strongly advise booking as soon as you can. The reason being is people have not been able to go to Japan for cherry blossom in 2020 or in 2021. And the majority of people have moved over to 2022. So there is already limited capacity at that time of year. It also is one of the busiest times because it's not just about international tourists, of course, going. This is a big, big occasion in Japan. So a lot of the Japanese will be taking a bit more time off, and they will be out and about as well, enjoying this fantastic season. But if it's something that you really want to do, to go and see cherry blossom, it is an amazing time to be in the country, of course. But so is autumn. And this is my sort of personal tip, if you like. It's a little bit less busy in the autumn months, September, October. Little bit cooler, but great temperatures. And you get these fantastic autumnal colours. So it really is an amazing time to travel. And Wendy Woo, we pretty much only travel at the best times. So with regards to going to Japan, the sort of summer months, your July and August, very hot, very humid, not the best time for touring around. And certain sort of periods of June as well can be the rainy season, although as you would expect in any country, the rain doesn't last particularly long. So that's just to give you a feeling and an idea of when the best time to travel is. Now, this is a picture of me with our guide when I went on the Wendy Wu tour a couple of years ago to Japan. And our guides are amazing. They really, really are. And this gentleman here, believe it or not, is in his early 80s. He was absolutely fit as a fiddle. And the Japanese people are incredible. They're so polite. Their structure of their society, all based on hierarchy and having respect for people and their space. They don't really talk out of turn. And he was absolutely incredible. Always on hand, like all our guides are, to just give you any information that you want, any tips, whatever you want to do. Now, there's different types of tours you can do with Wendy Wu. You can go on a fully escorted, fully inclusive tour. So the price includes your flights, predominantly 4-star accommodation, and I'll mention accommodation a bit later. All of your guiding, all of your experiences, and that's all as inclusive. We then have some other tours called Go Beyond, which get off the beaten track a little bit more, but you've still got a guide with you. But they don't include all meals, so you can use your guide to give you tips of where to go to eat of an evening, for example, when a meal isn't included. And they may be a little bit more physically demanding, possibly those tours, with things like maybe hiking the base of Mount Fuji, as an example, included in those particular tours. And then, of course, we can tailor-make any tour at all, and you can do a tour with us as a private tour. So you've got lots of options, but you're always going to be incredibly well looked after. And food. So this is the next big thing I get asked about all the time in Japan. And the food is amazing. So the miso soups, absolutely incredible. And you saw me eating some of those ramen soups as well with our guide and the people I was traveling with. This is a traditional serving of food in Koyasan. And I'll be talking about Koyasan a little bit later, but it's this would be a vegetarian meal, because up in Koyasan, it's a very spiritual area. And the tour that we take people to Koyasan on, you actually stay in a Buddhist temple, and you have this traditional food serving. And it really is amazing for vegetarians and also for the meat eaters. So when we visit Takayama, which is up in the Japanese Alps, we'll have this amazing Hida beef. And the beef here is just so incredible. And that's mainly due to the areas, obviously, up in the Alps that the Japanese cows actually can grass on. And I think really one of the messages I want to get across with the Wendy Wu tour is it's not just the sites that you go to see, it's what you actually do. And nobody includes more experiences of such a high quality than we do. You saw some of them there. On every one of our Japan tours, you will experience a traditional Japanese tea ceremony. And this is an amazing experience. It will be conducted by a tea master, it really is an amazing thing to do. Decorating fans is another one of the experiences that you can do on our tours as well. Miso soup making, sushi making, visiting a wasabi farm, and learning how this fantastic wasabi is made, and also miso as well. And here's me with my terrible attempt at a calligraphy class. You can see with the lovely Japanese lady how it should look. I sort of got there. I was a bit skeptical of this as an experience, I've got to be honest, but it was brilliant. Great interaction with a group, really good fun, and you feel like you've learned something and done something, and you've got a great souvenir to come back with as well. So these are just a few examples. Sake tasting. There are varying different types of sake and how they actually feel when you drink them, and how they sort of interact with your internal parts of your body. Some being feeling like a brandy, others being a lot smoother. So we, on some of our tours, we'll take you to a sake brewery, you'll learn how it's made, and then you'll be able to have a tasting with an expert as well. And on our Offbeat Japan tour, you can even do something a little bit more out there and some taiko drumming. So that's just some of the experiences that you can do when you're on a Wendy Wu tour. Now, what you're seeing here is a few images of Tokyo, but I am going to mention Tokyo a little bit later. And this is the Robot Cafe. Tokyo is an amazing destination. And of course, it's famous for its skyscrapers, but we take you a little bit off the beaten track there as well. But with regards to Japan itself, the other big question I get asked is, what's it like traveling on a bullet train? And it is amazing. I mean, the speeds that they get up to, you don't feel that you're traveling at 200 plus miles an hour. Always on time, amazingly efficient, spotlessly clean, like everything in Japan. Even just being in the train station is an experience in itself, because the people are so efficient, I guess, and they know their trains are going to be there on time, and they set off on time. There's no rushing around. There's no like massive levels of noise. It's a really lovely experience. And we have a particular tour, which is called Japan by Rail. Now, I'm just going to use this as a little bit of an example, because you see the big main island in the middle there? That's the main island of Honshu. And this is where the majority of people will visit, because it's where the majority of tourist attractions and places to visit are. But down in the south, you have the island of Kyushu. And this is very, very volcanic, very rural, incredibly scenic. And then up in the north, you have the island of Hokkaido, which is a bit more alpine, of course, particularly Sapporo, which is the capital. Now, there are 6,500 islands in Japan, but 97% of the population is across these three islands that you see here. And on our Japan by Rail tour, you are traveling, I think it's 11, maybe 12 rail journeys, half of which are bullet train and half are first class rail travel. So if you want to see all three islands on a tour, then this is a fantastic opportunity to do that. And because of the speed you're traveling at, you're not doing too much travel from one place to another. So this is Mount Fuji, a very iconic site in Japanese culture. We'll take you on a cruise across Lake Ashi. You'll get to see Mount Fuji. We'll take you up to the 5th station as well. And then when we go to the Japanese Alps, you'll get the opportunity to see in Yudanaka these snow monkeys who come down from the mountains into these fabulous hot springs. They are wild and they are the most northern living primates in the world, the Japanese macaques. So fantastic to see them, fantastic to sort of have a bit of interaction with them, a real wonderful insight into the wildlife in parts of Japan. But we don't save the onsens, the hot springs just for the monkeys. You'll get to experience a Japanese onsen as well. And this again is steeped in tradition. So thermal hot springs and your opportunity to bathe in them. They are always single sex, and it really is just a lovely experience. And this is one of the locations that we actually use, one of the hotels, and this is the hotel onsen that they have, and it's set right up in the Japanese Alps. And no visit to Japan, of course, would be complete without going to Kyoto. The same as Tokyo. You've got to do these two big major cities, and for me Kyoto is really traditional Japan in a nutshell. It's my favorite part. This area here you see here is the Gion area, which is really where behind these shutters of an evening there's little geisha shows. This is where you will see proper traditional geishas in Kyoto, and there's little bars and fantastic restaurants there as well, and it's just an amazing area. So this is a geisha, as you can see, in Kyoto. Geishas don't do the tea ceremonies. That's actually done by a tea master. So there is a difference there, and the tea ceremonies can be done by males as well as females. This is the Golden Pavilion in Kyoto, where this Zen temple and the top two layers are made from solid gold leaf. And the gardens there are absolutely incredible. And of course, you're going to see some amazing Japanese gardens. We only take our customers to the best, or sometimes maybe the most hidden and not less known about. And this is the bamboo forest. You'll get an opportunity on some of our tours to experience this and walk through this amazing area. And as I said, in our Getting Off the Beaten Track, our Offbeat Japan tour, we take you up to Koyasan. And this is a really, really religious area for Buddhism. And you'll stay in a Buddhist temple, and you'll be able to have enjoy the monks' prayers in the morning, have a traditional meal with them, which will be vegetarian, of course. And you'll stay in the temple guest house. And there's two types of ryokans, which is the traditional guest house experience. They have the traditional ones where you have the sort of like rattan mats, the tatami mats, and you have a small futon mattress laying on the floor. They are incredibly comfortable, but also they have got a sort of hybrid of that now, which you still have that experience, but the mattress is slightly raised off the ground. And there may be some Western chairs, as you can see here, as well as the traditional sort of sitting and kneeling. So that's to accommodate for maybe some Westerners that might struggle with this type of accommodation. So depending on the tour that you go on, you may be staying in a ryokan for one night, and it will depend on which tour as to which type of ryokan, but we can always give that information. Now, this is Hiroshima. And not all of our tours feature Hiroshima. Some people are not interested in going, but as a rebuilt city, it is amazing. That was the A Dome, which was the only thing to survive that whole blast, where 80,000 were killed instantly, and the museum is fascinating. You then saw Mirajima Shrine Island, the floating torii gate, and that's probably the most famous torii gate, and these are seen as spiritual gateways really to the other world. And what you're seeing here is a traditional pancake in Japan called takoyami, okiyami, sorry. And but it is made in different ways in different areas. So Osaka is really, really well known for its street food, and here they make it with cabbage, some spices, onion, and maybe some meats as well. And yet when you go to Hiroshima, they have a slight regional variation on it where it's actually made with noodles. So again, you will get to taste all of these fantastic flavors and regional specialities. So up in the Japanese Alps, getting off the beaten track a little bit away from the cities, because we also believe our clients really want to immerse themselves in as much of the culture and the country as possible. And Takayama is a fantastic place to visit. You see these sloped roofs. This is known as gasho architecture. And this is really done to withstand the huge amounts of snowfall that they get in the winter months. But in typical Japanese style, they present it as being they're designed as well to represent the hands of Buddhist monks in prayer. And it is a very rural area, very, very traditional area. And again, a very different experience from visiting some of the larger cities. You'll get to see some of the most amazing castles and examples, not just of the Japanese gardens, but also traditional Japanese architecture. So I've just highlighted a few of the top places here. So this is Matsumoto, also known as the Black Crow Castle for obvious reasons. We then have what is known as the best and well-preserved castle in Japan, Himeji. It's also known as the White Heron Castle. Now, the reason that this is so well preserved is it's never had any conflict or had any natural disasters. And then the very, very different fort, the star-shaped fort up at Hakodate on the island of Hokkaido. And this is a really unusual piece of fort architecture. and a fabulous place to actually spend some time and visit. And I did mention the scenic South Island of Kyushu. So you have Mount Aso, the huge volcano situated right in the middle of the country, which you're looking at now across these stunning rural landscapes, and the Beppu hot springs. Now, these hot springs you're not able to bathe in because they are too hot, very, very close to the volcano as these springs come up, but an amazing thing to see. So again, you've got that opportunity to either just visit the main island with us, all three islands, or if you want to tailor make a tour, we can do whatever you would require. So moving on to Tokyo, and for a lot of people, this is the big symbol of Japan. What I would say about Tokyo, I mean, it is a big, populous city. And like everything in Japan, you will see things here that you would never see anywhere else. So the huge amount of vending machines, for example, they have one for every 23 people in the country, supposedly in Tokyo. You put them back to back, they'd reach to Hawaii, apparently. You might see, I saw some people going around in these sort of go-karts dressed as Super Mario, the robot cafes, the dog cafes, the cat cafes. So a hedgehog cafe when I was there. And of course, it's well known for its skyscrapers and modern Tokyo and that very futuristic sort of side to it. But you don't have to go far from here to actually see traditional Tokyo. So this is probably the most famous crossing in the world, Shibuya. It's like the Japanese Times Square, I guess. Up to 3,000 people can cross here at any one point in time. And it really is right in the heart of the modern Tokyo, the futuristic skyscrapers, the advertising billboards, the amazing things that you can buy there in the shops that haven't even reached here yet. But like I say, you don't have to go far to get off the beaten track from there, and we'll take you to the Asakusa district, the only area where two different religious shrines share the same complex with the Sensoji temple there, the Buddhist shrine. So fantastic area again to just spend some time soaking up the atmosphere, watching the world go by. There's always something interesting to see and going on in Tokyo. It's absolutely stunning. We also can take you to a place called Yogi Park, which I guess is a sort of like a much more quieter, serene version of Central Park, with a beautiful lake in the middle, people there sort of maybe playing checkers, doing some Tai Chi, reading a book in this stunning, stunning, beautiful park with the skyscrapers in the distant background, and just wonderful place to spend some time again. And to get the best views of Tokyo, then we'll take you up the Skytree, the tallest tower in the world. You take the lift up there, of course. They've got a fantastic observation deck, cafe up there. Yeah, it's a brilliant experience to give you these amazing views over this incredible, incredible city. So we do have tours that range from 8 days right the way through to that 21-day as a group tour experience. So you can get a flavor of Japan just visiting the sort of top couple of cities with Tokyo, Kyoto, for example, on our Week in Japan tour, always seeing Mount Fuji, of course, or you can go up for a Japan Uncovered. And the reason this is our most popular tour is because it's our most immersive and it's the most comprehensive in the market, without a shadow of a doubt. So I've covered most of the places there, but you'll also get to go to Kanazara, and up there you'll learn about the traditional samurai way of life, as well as the amazing Japanese gardens that are around the castle there. You're up into the Japanese Alps, so you're getting to see the snow monkeys. You've got all the major cities. You're down to Hiroshima. You do get a night in the Ryokan as well. So, I mean, this really, if I was doing Japan, if you're planning to go once and do as much as possible, for me, the two big tours are this one and Japan by rail. If you want to do something else, or you want to get off the beaten track, then it's Offbeat Japan. And if you don't have that time and you want to do a little bit less, then we've got a range of tours, like I say, from 8 days up to 14, 15 days. With all of our tours, you can also do extensions. So quite a number of people do take this opportunity whilst they're out in this part of the world to possibly even go to China, because we have a tour that does the highlights of Japan and China called the Ancient Empires, or out to South Korea or Taiwan on 5-day extensions. Or of course, you can extend your time in Japan if you wish to as well, if you wanted to stay in Tokyo for a few extra nights at the end of your tour, or even before your tour has started. So it's really down to you, and obviously getting back to Miles Morgan with what you'd like to do. So just want to go through our current offers and our booking policies. So we are making things as flexible as is possible. So it's only a £99 per person deposit. All of the stuff that I've gone through today is for 2022, 2023 departures. You can have a free date amendment, and the balance is not due until 6 weeks before departure. If we have to cancel a tour, then that decision will be made before that balance is due, and you will then have the opportunity to either have your deposit back, for example, or alternately, we could move the tour to another date or possibly even another destination, depending on whatever you would like to do. So really, really flexible to give you that confidence to book. And because we've just launched our 2023 brochure as an online brochure, then we have got these fantastic offers for bookings made up until the end of June. So again, secure with the £99. So you can have a free return economy flights. So that will save you £700 to £800 per person. Or you could have a free one-way business class upgrade. Now that is on the return flight back into the UK. But if you wanted to upgrade and have that business class both ways, that would be £999 to pay as an extra. And then you would be able to travel in business class both ways on your Japan tour. This is for group tours. Or if you're a solo traveler, you can have a free single supplement. So therefore, no single supplement on any of our tours in 2022 and 2023 if you book before the end of June. And if you do that, you'll save up to £1,940 on that solo. So that is actually the saving on the Japan Uncovered tour at the most premium time to travel. And we always love to give Miles Morgan an exclusive because they're an incredible partner for Wendy Wu Tours. If you do book a Japan tour with them before the end of June, we'll also give you a free UK airport lounge as well, just to add on to that. So that's all that remains for me to say. I do hope that you will get in touch with Miles Morgan with any inquiries, any queries, and I'm happy to reintroduce Miles to ask any questions that there may be. Oh, maybe I finished a bit too early.
No, you're fine, Joe. Don't worry. I got caught on the phone, but I'm clear now. Incredibly comprehensive, I have to say. I'll just see whether there's any. As yet, you've bamboozled everybody. There's no question, so please do ask away if you have a question you want to ask Joe. For me, I guess, and you said it really, that for somebody not having gone to Japan, your recommendation was one of those 2 longer tours. Would that be right?
Yeah, definitely, Miles. I mean, I because I went for work, which I feel incredibly privileged to have done so. But there's parts of Japan that I wasn't able to see because I did go for shorter duration. And I think if you're going to go for the longest time that you can, and do as much as you can, because it is like no other country I've been to. I know you've been as well, Miles, but it is just being in Japan is enough. It really is like nowhere else.
No, I think you talked about the people, and the people are incredibly welcoming and gracious there. And I think, you know, it's a place where the wows are substantial. There's plenty of them, but there are also plenty of other nuggets in there that are less sort of well known, I guess would probably be the word I would use in terms of places to visit.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the great thing of having a guide with you, that, you know, when you've got some free time, you know, they're there to ask anything that you want. I mean, that picture of me with our guide, we just popped out to this little back street, small restaurant bar that you just sat up at a podium, as you saw in that image of me with the guide and a couple of other travelers. And we just had this amazing soup there. And we were just chatting and watching the people and the interaction. And oddly enough, that whole evening was one of my highlights.
Mm.
And it's really hard to explain that, but it is those little things going through the Japanese market in Kyoto, and seeing some of the food offerings that they have, and just being there and just being part of it and soaking up the atmosphere. Never mind all the fantastic things you're going to see and experience as well.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
It's funny how you talk about very basic things being memorable. For me, it was getting the bullet train, waiting for the bullet train to arrive at the station. I was so excited. I was like a kid waiting for this train to arrive. It's ridiculous. And obviously, as you all know, it's so regimented. You have your spot on the platform and you wait in this narrow little bit for the train to come. And the train pulls up to the millimeter to let you get on the train. And rather like you, one of the things that I thoroughly enjoyed was literally the train journey. I went from Tokyo down to Hiroshima, and I simply enjoyed the train journey simply for seeing, if you like, what I call normal Japan. You know,
Yeah.
what the country is like as you travel across it. And it was just wonderful, just the most amazing experience.
And the great thing that we do with the bullet trains, because as you'll know, you can't take big luggage on there. It's quite limited space. So we actually take your major luggage, you'll pack that up from your hotel, and we'll take that in our coach transportation to your next destination. So you just have a little handbag, hand luggage that you need to take with you. And then your luggage is, when you get to your hotel at the next destination, will be there later on in the afternoon for you. So, we really do take care of everything. And I think that's the beauty of being on a guided, escorted tour. The hardest thing you've got to do is get to your UK airport departure point. Once you've done that and you've arrived in destination, we take care of you from start to finish.
Yeah, I think it's the ability to not miss things that is what you gain on the tour, that you could easily miss yourself. If I always love this to pick on you and say, right, let's have the Joe Lavers nugget. What would the Joe Lavers nugget be on Japan? Where would you be saying, listen, this, you've got to see it, you've got to do it, you've got to experience it? What would be Joe's little magic moment on Japan?
For me, it's Kyoto, and I think there's so much to see and do around there that I went through. The Golden Pavilion, the Fushimi Inari Shrine. That's where you'll have the tea ceremony, and that tea ceremony is very moving, and I can't explain why. I really can't, but I think it's just that maybe tripping back to a more ancient ritualistic time, and realizing how important it is. I mean, we get a distilled version of a tea ceremony because in old Japan they could go on for like 3-4 hours. But just the whole way of, you have to do this, you have to do that, the praying, it's just everything, and it's just an amazing experience to be part of. And I think it's those kind of things. But Kyoto for me, wandering around the Gion area in the evening, seeing the geishas, seeing people just enjoying Japanese life, that's the nugget place. That's where I would want to spend even more time, because once you've even seen the sights, and it's much easier to get around than Tokyo is. It's nowhere near as big and as sprawling. So you're actually spending some time just wandering around on foot and enjoying.
I think, the other thing I would say to people on the Zoom and those people watching afterwards is that, the country at the moment is in a challenging position in terms of COVID, international travel. But what I would say, and we're seeing this very, very strongly, as no doubt Joe is, people are booking very strongly with confidence for future years. So 2022 in particular You know, we're still doing an awful lot of new business for 2022, and top of the pops really in terms of trend for us is undoubtedly Japan. So, you know, if you are thinking about doing one of these trips, you know, don't think, well, I'll wait for COVID to be over before I do anything. Secure the date you want, the trip you want, at the price you want now while the opportunity's there. As Joe said, you know, the guarantees that Wendy Wu put in place around moving it, changing it, adapting it are all there. So, you know, you risk nothing, but in my view, you gain everything in terms of price, getting the trip you want and getting the date you want. Because I do think anybody waiting till everything is green will find either prices are massively up, or they can't get the date they want, the tour they want, or maybe all of those added together. I don't know whether you make a comment on that, Joe.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that totally. And I take a leaf out of my own book. You know, I've never really booked that far in advance for any of my holidays, but I am now. I would definitely strongly agree with that. And also, as I mentioned, particularly if you want to travel at Cherry Blossom, where people have had their tours moved for 2 years now, and a lot of people haven't been away and they want to go to a destination that has always been on their list. And Japan is, for so many people, that destination. So it is going to be incredibly popular. We've got the Olympics coming up. That's going to increase popularity again. And those people that have booked early will get the benefit from it. The other thing I would say as well with regards to Japan opening, currently they've vaccinated just over 3% of their population. Their population's about double the size of the UK. Now, there's reasons for that. They were slower at doing the approval of vaccinations, and they didn't have the supplies. A lot of the supplies have only really started to come into the country February, March time. But they've now got their plan laid out, and they expect to have all adults vaccinated by the end of September. So if that is the case, and knowing how efficient the Japanese are, once they've set a plan in place, they will deliver on it. I'm 99.999% confident of that. Then I see that Japan will be one of those countries that will be open to travelers, possibly the back end of this year, but certainly for Cherry Blossom 2022.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think all of that is absolutely spot on. And I think your point about Cherry Blossom, it's true with all of these things. When you have a peak date for demand, and you've also got 2 years worth of disappointed people, it only smells one thing, and that's sellout. And I've no doubt that's exactly where it'll be by the time we reach, well before we reach Cherry Blossom season, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, thank you very much. You have bamboozled everybody. You've done brilliantly to get no questions. I can't believe how well you've done. Please, if you do have a question, you don't want to ask it in the chat, please contact your local shop. They can get in contact with Joe and ask him any of the tricky questions you want to ask him. If you want to check availability of any of the amazing Wendy Wu tours, then again, just get in touch with us. And as Joe said, if you're looking particularly for Cherry Blossom and a peak date, you know, my advice would be do it sooner rather than later. I have all 3 of my holiday bookings in place for 2022. And to be honest with you, I'm feeling smug and good about it because I know I fixed the price and I'm happy and I've got the dates I want. It's as simple as that. And that's the recommendation I'm giving to friends and family because I think it's sound advice. So, Joe, thank you very much. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed seeing some of those amazing places I went to myself. And if anything, it's left me feeling I'd like to go back again, to be honest.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Miles.
Thank you for joining, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.